Well, folks, welcome back to GameSpot's live stage show here at Comic-Con 2012, and the proverbial train keeps a-rolling, in addition to those literal trains behind us, which I'm sure you'll hear from in just about a minute or two. The proverbial train keeps rolling with Darksiders II, courtesy of Joe Madureira. Joe, thanks a lot for swinging by.
Thank you.
Now,
it's good to be here.
As an artist yourself, this is your kind of show, right?
It is, yeah. This is probably my 10th, I think, Comic-Con.
Yeah?
But it's probably, it's crazier each year, so you just never know what to expect.
So we're going to take a look at your sort of, creative vision for Darksiders 2 in this demo that we're about to start off here in a moment. Tell us what we're about to see here, Joe.
So basically, there's so much that goes into the creation of one of our levels. Darksiders 2 is way bigger than the first game, so we have a lot more area to cover, and I don't think a lot of people know what really goes into it. There's drawings, there's all kinds of meetings that happen, there's all kinds of revisions, and it really starts off with just a bunch of gray boxes and eventually becomes something awesome to the player. And we thought it'd be fun to just kind of take you through the process a little, and show you one of the areas of the game.
All right, so let's. So we've got Death here, and he is proceeding onward.
Death is walking toward one of the town areas. In the first game, we didn't really have a lot of NPCs you could constantly interact with or quests. Here we do. We have towns, we have NPCs, and this is the Great Forge. In the first game, we had a character called Ulthane, and he was sort of the only creature of this race that you were able to interact with. And now we got to show you more of his people, the Makers. They forge great weapons, they forge cities, they forge worlds. They're a very ancient race. This is one of their warriors. He can actually train you as you advance. And so, this area, it was kind of interesting because it's what would a town look like with these guys? It couldn't be a bunch of little huts. We wanted everything in the Darksiders universe is huge and impressive, and so these guys just sort of build everything that way. And Han is hopefully. This is an area that we'll show you some of the concept art for, so you can kind of see how we got to this point. Be nice if they threw some of the concepts on the screen, but yeah.
If we've got some concept art to Oh, actually, it's over here on this left screen.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so you can see the we started with a drawing. We tried to get a huge sense of scale. Like I said, everything in this game is larger than life, huge. The first game took place on Earth, so we didn't really get to experiment a lot with the fantasy settings that we wanted to do. We had so much more freedom this time around, so we were really able to just have a lot of fun and come up with these areas. And you can see that head that was in that drawing is now, it's been fleshed out. That was sort of the entrance. And then we were okay, what connects to this? Where do they live? What are the structures surrounding this place? And so we fleshed it out with a few more drawings. We eventually, gray box everything so that we can sort of run around and make sure that there's a nice sense of scale.
Now, for the folks at home not too familiar with video game development terminology, when you say gray box, what do you mean by that?
It's basically, there's no textures, there's no detail on any of the architecture. It's literally boxes, almost like you took giant gray Legos and just placed them so that you could get a sense of distance.
Sense of space. And
exactly. How long does it take to run across this area? Because no matter how beautiful something looks, if it takes too long to run across it, or it's too small and cramped, it's just, if it doesn't feel good and play good, it's pointless, to make it look pretty. So we hold off on that part until we've got something we're very happy with, and obviously that starts with some cool drawings.
It's the sort of nightmare scenario of Grand Theft Auto without the cars, right?
Yes, exactly. It's luckily Death has a horse to spare to cover these large areas. But yeah, the bigger you make the world, and you're hey, we have this huge world that takes forever to cross. It's wait, on foot, that's not actually very fun,
So, Joe, we are taking questions live on Twitter for anybody who tweets us to @GameSpot. Georgina Perez is wondering, how long did it take you to pick a final character design for Death? What was that process like?
You know, funny enough, death happened instantly. When we first started Darksiders, the first one, I concepted all 4 horsemen together, and then I kind of shelved the other 3 when we picked War. And we worked on War's visuals throughout the entire development of the game. It took us a while to get happy with it. When we started on Death for the second game, I dusted off the old drawing, but I wasn't really happy with it anymore. I wanted to try some new stuff, and I was like, we can't use that. It's years old. I could do something better.
Right.
But nothing I tried excited people as much as that very first drawing. So I just, you know, finished it up, and that's how he looks in the game. It was literally like the first try. That never happens, honestly. So it was very easy.
Let's see here. So. Now, who's this character
here,
that we're about to run up to?
So here Death has made his way to the Forge. Like I said, there are NPC characters. This is Alia and her brother. They're 2 of the smiths that forge weapons. In this part of the game, they forge a key for Death, which you know, is part of the story of this area. And I do think we have some drawings as well for the Forge area. I think a lot of the stuff we came up with originally was not super impressive. And you know, we didn't want it to look like any old blacksmith forge, so there's actually a sequence where you have to like basically unlock a waterfall that sends like a river of water to one part of the forge, and then this like lava flow from another part, and they sort of converge in this area. It's super impressive. You can see there's an example of the gray box on the left. We just loosely built it, and then you run around it, and it's like, wow, this feels really empty. And like one of our artists did a paint over there. We do a lot of paint overs in development, just sort of like before somebody goes in and does all the work of building the assets. We just, you know, paint stuff in, and if we like it, we take it to 3D. You can see the 3D version of the room now.
Now, Joe, your position on this game is creative director, right?
Yes.
So what does that entail on a day-to-day basis? What are you doing on this game?
On a day-to-day basis, I did a lot of the concept art, overseeing the story. On this game specifically, I was definitely more of like a directorial role. A lot less hands-on than in the first game. The first game we had such a small team.
Right.
We were all kind of doing everything, and you know, I was like more involved in animation and stuff like that. But our team is so awesome and experienced. Like I really just enjoy, you know, having like oversight, and I do concept a lot of the characters still. Certainly Death, Despair, a lot of the story characters, and just, you know, like really just work with the art teams to make sure that the style of the game just holds true to what we set out to create.
So you mentioned that you've got your hand in the story elements of the game. We've actually got a number of questions from folks here who they're wondering about, for the folks out there who never played the first game, what are you doing to make sure that they're not lost?
Well, you know, the cool thing about this story is it actually takes place during part of the first game. It's happening concurrently, and so it really is Death's story. And we touch on things that happen in the first game, but if you've never played it, it's fine. This is a total self-contained story. I think if you have played the first one, it's cool because we have a lot of returning characters, and there's a lot of references to things that happened with War in the first game. And obviously, it lends a lot more urgency to the main story of helping out your brother War if you've already spent some time with him. But you will not need to have played the first game at all to enjoy it. A lot of people have been asking too what that thing is on Death's chest.
Blue exposed light.
Yes,
there?
it is. It's a story element, and that we can't talk too much about. But you know, I think one thing that I'm excited about is we definitely. It's a lot more of a personal mission for Death. He has like a past that we explore a lot more. War was kind of like this like vague, you know, stoic dude. And Death has like a lot more sort of like guilt and regret and stuff like that. So that's actually like the souls of all the dead Nephilim that are basically the race that the 4 horsemen came from. They're the last 4, and he sort of like carries that around. They were involved in the destruction of their own people, and it's something you learn about right away.
Now, I believe if I'm not mistaken, one of the elements that's new to this game is the ability to like collect gear, loot, and sort of like, you know, leave your own stamp on the appearance of death.
That's right. You know, every combat now, when you kill creatures, they drop treasure of some kind, whether it's, you know, money that you use to buy stuff. There's armor, weapons, and we have tons and tons of armor. It's all visible on the character, just like you would expect from, you know, the best RPGs. It is randomly generated, so you never know what you're going to get. And it's really cool. We have new weapon types. We have claws. We have giant hammers, axes. Obviously, the twin sides.
I'd imagine that's a lot of fun for you guys on the art team to come up with those designs.
It is a lot of fun. It was a little challenging because, you know, you can mix and match stuff, and it's like you kind of want to design the pieces to like look cool on their own, but hopefully when you assemble them together, he doesn't look like a mess, you know?
Right.
And obviously, it still needs to look like Death. We do want to create a franchise. Usually, you don't mess with the look of the character too much, but we just had to do it. It's fun. It adds a lot to the game.
All right. Let's see here. Georgina Perez is wondering about the other two horsemen. Do they get their own game?
You know, we're not commenting yet on that, but obviously, you know, it is something that you know, we'd love to see, as well as the fans. I mean, there are 4 horsemen, and you know, everyone sort of speculates that we're like doing like one game for each character.
Right.
There's lots of interesting ideas floating around, but hopefully we can announce our plans in the near future for you know, what's going on with Darksiders, but for now we're not talking about it.
A very, very diplomatic response there. So I just want to mention for those of you wondering what's happening on the screen here, once again, our beta train returns. So when you hear those loud trains clanging by in the background, we're going to throw some beta keys your way for various PC games. I believe today is PlanetSide 2, so try to redeem those as quickly as you can. Joe, anything else you want to mention about Darksiders 2 before I let you go?
You know, I just hope that people, you know, play it. I think we've got a great response to the first game. There's lots of buzz around this second one. Death's an awesome character, and it's out in a few weeks for PS3, Xbox 360, PC, Wii U. Yeah, just check it out. Thank you.
Cool. Sounds good. Joe, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right, folks, so that was Darksiders 2. Now we're going to go check out the Funimation booth. Let's have a look.